Ramsi, you can start, I think.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah,
Everybody can hear me?
everybody can hear you. I think we'll continue. We were
Yeah, so
discussing
there was one difference which was not discussed is also about the timing. So in severe MR, this parasternal area impulse is usually late systolic. Okay.
Let's
we time it, but it's
Yeah,
always
Mark.
good. Differentiate between.
That gives the question: in what phase of the cardiac cycle did you feel for the apical impulse? Ramsi,
सिस्टोल में फील होता है सर एपिकल
हाँ,
इम्पल्स
सिस्टोल में कौन से फेज में? क्या क्या फेज होते हैं सिस्टोल के?
एजेक्शन रैपिड एजेक्शन फेज
हाँ,
रैपिड एजेक्शन फेज सर
और स्लो इजेक्शन भी होता है सिस्टोल में?
और एजेक्शन फेज बेसिकली
हाँ,
एजेक्शन फेज में सर
मोहित?
It's a mid systole.
हाँ, यूजुअली हाँ आइसोवोल्यूमेट्रिक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन और उसके साथ अर्ली सिस्टोल में होता है, तभी दैट मोहित इज सेइंग ना, in the case of MR, in case of LA volume overload, the impulse will be a little late systolic. While here, as Shashank was saying, RB impulse will correlate more with the apical impulse because of the early systole phase.
उसमें एक्चुअली सर पूरा सिस्टोल जैसे लैक्टेटेड इम्पल्स है तो फ्लो विल बी अक्रॉस द वॉल थ्रू आउट द सिस्टोल ना सर
I didn't understand.
लैक्टेटेड इम्पल्स
Can you repeat your question? We didn't understand the question.
इसके जो इन लैक्टेटेड इम्पल्स it is due to because of recrustation from the mitral wall. Yes, sir. So the gradient across the mitral wall occurs throughout the systole, sir, in case of lactated impulse.
Hello.
अभी भी समझ नहीं आया. What is the question? Sorry.
Hello.
Sir, ये lactated impulse is due to regurgitation of the mitral wall regurgitation. So the mitral wall regurgitation, the gradient across the atrium and left ventricle is present throughout the systole, sir. It's not due to single point. Throughout the ejection phase, it is present. That's why we get holosystole in one case of.
What happens whenever there is a severe chronic MR? There is a left atrial pressure which is ranging from 3 to 5, no, in normal patients. So this pressure is always high. So there is very minimal equalization in the very early part. When there is an isovolumetric contraction which comes, it's a matter of few seconds. That is why when this particular question came now, I said it is very difficult to differentiate. When the isovolumetric contraction occurs, at that particular moment, the regurgitant fraction increases, and it continues to increase during the systole and come down towards the end, because most of the fraction gets regurgitated in the early phase or the middle phase in case of clefts. What happens in rheumatic or other conditions, this equalization which I am talking of, because of the EDs being high, in the initial phase when there is a wave, although the initial, and ultimately it comes when the later part of the systole, when the LA pressures, when the LA filling is almost closed, LA pressures are almost down. LA pressure is not always 0 and 3, no. If you put in the atria, it will be maximum LA pressure in the early part of the systole. Then it comes down. Then mid systole, when the valve bulges, it goes slightly up and then comes down, and then again rises when the V wave contracts. This is how the atrial pressure varies. So there is some difference of minimal timing, but the main difference is what we have discussed. One, about the grading. Two, about the site. Yeah, you can mention that there will be some difference because it will MR of cleft is going to come in early and mid systole, and then of will come in late systole, but it is very difficult to differentiate clinically.
So what this book Jonathan Abrams says about MR is that during MR, during the late systolic phase, when usually there is LV ejection, so whatever LV ejection is happening is coming to LA, and LA is also receiving blood from pulmonary veins. So there is LA enlargement, dilatation, which is felt in late systole compared to what we feel during RVH, or which is due to pressure overload situation of RV. The common exam question is to differentiate parasternal impulse of RVH versus LA enlargement. And then you have to say the timing also. So this happens usually in late systole, when LA is filling from both the sides. Like there is LA filling as well as from the pulmonary veins as well as from the regurgitant gate.
So this is some, so LV impulse in late systole. So LA impulse produced in late systole.
There are three things which are happening right now. That is confusing. One is a LA impulse, second a RVH, and third we have brought in MR of ABSD versus a MR of a rheumatic. Okay, that is why it is causing the confusion. So you just concentrate in the question which is commonly asked is parasternal impulse, and that is to differentiate LA from the RVH.
Yes.
You understand? You forget when the ABSD regurgitation is happening. I was discussing about AV regurgitation of AV canal versus acquired. If you forget this, you concentrate on LA parasternal impulse, which will be generated by LA or RVH. For LA, it is going to come in late systole. For MR, LA is going to come in late systole, and RVH is going to come in early systole. But just you remember these timings. And one timing, third is the timing, second is the associated factors, and first is the grading. Grading, which will always be higher for regurgitation. That means whenever there is whenever there is RVH, grading would be always be higher. To the associated factor, whenever RVH is there, it is going to find the apex. It might get it the apex, but if it's a LA LV dilatation, you will find associated LA LV dilatation and the things at the apex. And third, the timing. These three features you must be able to speak in exam when you are asked this question. Okay.
So
Chalo, move on.
when the other parts of oscillation. So when there is if a ASD is restrictive, so there can be a diastolic pressure gradient between the left atrium and right atrium. So that can lead to mild a little bit this mid-diastolic murmur with a down left atrial V wave. And if the patient has a
V wave will be prominent, I think. To come to the splitting of the second heart sound, that becomes important. You come to the second heart sound. So second heart sound will behave like a ASD only, as we discussed now, because atrial level shunt, it will be big. So it is very differentiate to differentiate. So all the features of wide and fixed splitting would be there in this particular case also.
Yes, sir.
But first heart sound में क्या difference होगा? What will be the difference in the first heart sound? S1 में क्या होगा? जब हम S1 की बात करते हैं, we talk about mitral and like a split component. So there are two components which are involved, but यहाँ तो common AV canal है. So first heart sound is
so it will be single and it will be impure.
Yeah, it is generally always a single heart sound, first heart sound. It can never be, but it's very difficult to differentiate or split first heart sound anyway in any examination. But if somebody proactively asks you, S1 would always be single because it's a common AV valve. But what is most important is because of this pansystolic murmur. So whenever there is Y-switch splitting and a pansystolic murmur, the first heart sound automatically gets covered up, no? Hello?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
What happens? First heart sound is single. It gets covered up, suppressed in a severe AV valve regurgitation, and also there is a long PR interval, so it is very soft. So at times you are not able to appreciate the first heart sound well. These are the three reasons. One, it is single. Two, it does not have two components to produce that extra sound it can produce. Two, it is PR interval is mostly prolonged in AV canal, and third, it gets suppressed in the AV valve register. That is why first heart sound is generally soft. Okay. Coming to second heart sound. Second,
Second
batao.
heart sound.
You have read it, no?
Second heart
You
sound.
tell us.
Second heart sound is generally split is splitting a wide fixed split as seen here in the same Austrian secondum. Just it is wide fixed split, and but the comment will be loud if the accessory pulmonary species. So the comment will be loud. So that is a normal wide splitting. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you continue.
Hello.
Yeah.
So basically, there is the phonograms. So I'll explain through the phonograms. So one is taken at the left photometric space and one is the left X. So at that photometric space, we can get a systolic murmur. This is a flow due to the flow across the sorry. This is the radiated murmur from the AV wall, the recurrent AV wall murmur, which is radiated to photometric space, and we can see white peaks splitting and a single S1, and we can have a diastolic murmur because of the flow increased flow across the tricuspid wall. And at the apex, we can get a loud intensity systolic murmur because of the recursion of the AV wall. And the same wide splitting and loud S1. And this is at the level of pulmonary second dimension space, and this is both left channel border, and this is at the apex. So at the second dimensional space, we can have the systolic murmur. This is due to increased flow across the pulmonary wall, and this is a wide mixed split. And at the level of fourth local space, the radiated murmur of the left AV wall can be seen in the systole, along with the diastolic murmur, which is seen due to increased flow across the tricuspid. And here also the same apex may be due to due to LV failure, we can hear the S3 also to the CHF sets in. This is an RV phonogram, which is taken with intracardiac tracing across the right AV wall. So we can see the this diastolic murmur across the tricuspid region. That is the right side AV wall. So this is due to this is a flow murmur, and we can also see the RV pressures are increased, systolic pressures are increased. Coming to ECG, you can see here PR prolongation 50% of cases, and it is due to inflator or even condition below, and in some cases complete AV block also occurs, and due to dilated RA, there can be a right atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter, which is usually increased with age. And there is a left axis deviation with a moderate to extreme acceleration. That is, it is between -90 to between 180. So it is can be superior to the left or can be superior to the left, right. So it can reach up to -180 degrees between -9 to -180 of the axis. So the extreme left axis is a deviation of is a feature of Down syndrome with counterclockwise depolation with the QS in 1 and AVL and SVS in lead 2, 3 and AVL, which is castically notched. So this is the we can see the axis, which is clear left axis, left wing actually more than -90, and there is a subtle notching in imperial leads. There can be a notching in the imperial leads in the S way. And the other feature is the same in case of in any case of right ventricular hypertrophy. We can see the tall RVS in the right-sided leads with S wave in the left-sided leads. With so we can also see the peaked P waves, which is indication of a right atrial enlargement. So The mechanism responsible for characteristic QRS pattern in AV septal defect stems from the congenital condition of the excitation pathways. So the AV conduction axis conduction enters only at the crux. So the penetrating bundle is displaced posteriorly, lying on the posterior inferior rim of the ventricular component of the defect. So the his bundle will be usually shorter and it is usually posteriorly positioned. And the left bundle branch is so left bundle is also positioned posteriorly and rises immediately after the common bundle after the entering the ventral septum. And left anterior division divides into left anterior vesicle and posterior vesicle. The anterior vesicle usually has a fewer fibers. It is thin and long.
Instead, you must understand what is happening. There is a
So
SA
there is
node.
basically a defect. There
There
is
is
basically
a
a defect
AV
in
node.
the
What is happening? The AV
basically,
node is much more posterior because there is a primum defect which is anterior. There is a large, so it is even matlab, posterior to the coronary sinus. It will go behind the coronary sinus. So there is a very long tract which the conduction system is taking from the SA node to the AV node. This is like leading to very long PR interval. Now, what happens? Again, there is a large VSD, and even the bundle from once it crosses across the AV node through the small his fibers which are there, it is the left bundle has to take a very long course. The right bundle is also long, but particularly left bundle has got to get a very long course. So the depolarization
both
from the
are
left
long,
side
sir.
is very, very long. So the axis and also the conduction all shifts because it is always occurring late on the left side. So it shifts superiorly and onto the left side. And the depolarization is going to take place and produce Q waves
Start
in
from
the
the
inferior
posterior
leads,
vessel.
2, 3 AVF. है ना? That is why you will have a counterclockwise loop. That instead of you put the heart in center and look at the clock, the depolarization is going to take place in the left side towards the hand. So to go there, the looping is coming from instead of doing the regular clock, first the right is coming, then left is coming. So it is a counter-clockwise loop, not a clockwise loop, which is happening for this. So that is why you are getting a negative waves in 2, 3 AVF, or you're getting Q waves in 1 and AVL, and a S wave which will be prominent in field leads in 2, 3 AVF. Because the conduction place like this, it is posterior, it is even behind the AV node is even behind the coronary sinus. Okay.
Actually, right bundle is more longer than left bundle. Right bundle will be it's so much longer.
Right bundle is maybe abnormally long, but left bundle, left posterior division, the left bundle जो posterior part होता है, posterior है ना, left posterior वाला सबसे पहले depolarize हो जाएगा,
So left
left
posterior
interior
is the
वाला
short
सबसे
and
last में depolarize होगा,
last to the
right वाला और भी late polarize होगा, पर left का interior वाला सबसे last में depolarize होगा,
So
left posterior वाला सबसे पहले
so
depolarize हो जाएगा, इसलिए एक्सिस उधर को शिफ्ट हो जाता है.
इसमें ये भी लिखा है अगर right bundle can be so long. Sometimes with the connection through the right bundle because takes time and it looks like an RBB. Even though there is no RBB, the connection is through the right bundle only because the bundle is so long that it takes time to depolarize. So it looks like a partial RBB also. In this
RBB
case.
is true for any AV canal, any ASD, because RV is dilated. That will lead to partial
RV is
RBB,
dilated,
that will
sir.
never be complete RBB. मैं फिर से
Partial
बोलता
RBB
हूँ,
present, but
there is
it
a
is
SA
also
node, maybe there is a AV node. AV node is situated posteriorly, very below. ब्रांच जाएगी पहली फर्स्ट लेफ्ट सुपीरियर ब्रांच जाएगी, वो सबसे पहले डिपोलराइज कर देगी, बट लेफ्ट इंटीरियर और राइट वाली जो ब्रांच होगी वो सबसे लास्ट में डिपोलराइज होगी. सबसे पहले लेफ्ट पोस्टीरियर की ब्रांच को डिपोलराइज करेगी. अब now you start depolarizing and thinking of the ECG changes which are going to take place. You automatically fit in left superior axis क्यों आ रहा है और 1 और AVL में Q waves की काउंटर क्लॉकवाइज लूप क्यों आ रहा है.
basically left posterior will be short, so axis dipole start from the left posterior basal region, and this anterior left anterior will be very long. Next it goes to the anterior, and next at last it goes to the right side because right bundle branch is more longer. So there will be a partial RBB, There can be peaked PVS because of the right atrial enlargement. There can be right axis deviation or extreme, either extreme left right or extreme left axis deviation. And there will be notching in the S waves, and there will be Q waves in the one end AVL. And at the last part of the Q in the AVR, the terminal region of the R wave will be slurred because the conduction takes time. And as usual, the RVH features, the down R wave and the S wave, down R wave in the right leads and the S wave in the left segment leads. Coming to X-ray. In X-ray ostium prime ASD, the X-ray is analogous to the ostium ASD of equivalent size. So when the left side AV wall coexists, the right atrium especially enlarged because of the regurgitation flows directly into the right atrial cavity. The left cardiac port is straightened because the prominent right ventricular output tract. And in infants and young children, the complete AVSD leads to enlarged cardiac cylindro and may obscure all but small portion of the lung fields. I'll show the X-ray. A dilated right atrium occupies the right lower cardiac border, and left ventricle occupies the apex despite there is a left ventricle right ventricle enlargement. So, yeah, so basically, this is the right ventricle output tract which is enlarged. There is the enlarged pulmonary trunk, and the right atrium is enlarged. You can see the apex. Here it can be. This is an LV type of apex. LV apex. And in some cases, there will be a right atrial appendage enlargement also. So then this can obscure the pulmonary bay and it leads to straightening of the left cardiac border. And ascending aorta is inconspicuous. And in some Down syndrome patients, there can be an absent or rudimentary 12th rib. And same in sickle syndrome is another phenotype in which there is also absence of 12th rib. And in Down syndrome, there can be hyperinflation of lungs caused by airway obstruction, and they can flatten the hemodiaphragms also. This is a Down syndrome patient with a flattened hemodiaphragms and absence of 12th rib. And in Down syndrome, in lateral view, you can also see in mandibular channel there can be 2 oscillation centers. Coming to echocardiography. So by echocardiography and color Doppler and flow and Doppler interrogation, we can identify whether it is septum primum or septum secundum type of ASD, and we can see the common AV wall and whether the AV wall is competent or incompetent, and the location of the VSD, and the shunting degree of shunting. And we can identify the LVH, RVH, right atrial and left atrial size, and their size and what is the movement, directional traction and stroke volume also. And we can also see the absence of AV septum, which is verified by the bridging leaflets across the same horizontal level above the crest of the ventral septum. And when fusel cords are interposed between the conjoint AV when atrial leaflets at the crest of the ventral septum. Usually, the tricuspid wall usually is lower than the lower into the ventricle when compared to mitral wall. So in case of AV ventral septal defect, the both tricuspid and
let me summarize this. No, Ramsey has written all these statements. One, AV canal, they are at the same level. Two, we must understand what is the ventricular size, what is the LV size, what is the RV size. We must be able to see which shunt is going in which left to right shunt. We must investigate LVOT to the left AV outflow tract obstruction. हमें क्या क्या देखना है anatomically, हमें ये देखना है कि one, it's a common AV canal, both are the same level. Two, what are the two ventricles, are they balanced or unbalanced? Three, is there a LV outflow tract obstruction or there is no LV outflow tract obstruction? And then comes to hemodynamics. Then we have to see if there is a cleft, what is the degree of AV valve regurgitation? Is it a repairable cleft? Can we close the cleft and repair it? because once we close the cleft, we'll have to decide that we might decrease the AV inflow. So we have to decide whether we can close hemodynamically, we can close this cleft completely, or we cannot close this. And second, hemodynamics, of course, which is the first, is we have to decide operability, whether this particular AV canal defect is operable or which is not operable. These are the things how you see in echocardiogram. Okay, we'll go to the next slide.
And in short axis, you can see AV wall has a triangular shape rather than
That's
fishmouth,
okay. We
which
must
is
be able to
normal.
identify this. No? Next.
So basically, so left ventricle AV valve, both are at the same level, and they open together and close together. This is
Not just at the same level, we must be able to identify that which is the anterior leaflet, which is the posterior bridging leaflet, what are the lateral leaflets. Ultimately, what is going to happen is surgeon is going to cut the anterior bridging leaflet and divide it into to make the mitral, and the uh, rest of them will go to the individual compartments. But anterior bridging leaflet is to be divided by the surgeon to make the mitral part of the mitral valve, and remaining the part of the other valve. No? So that is also important. Some gradings are actually based on how the anterior bridging leaflets are placed into type A, B, and C. This we are actually explaining. We can go to the next slide. Our presentation is more important for clinical point of view. Okay, next. You can jump this.
just this same was anterior wall the cleft
So the LVOTO by the anterior mitral leaflet. Okay, go to the next slide.
You can also see the chordate, axillary chordate and their insertion.
It's very important, as you have done. LV papillary muscles needs to be seen. What happens at times, left ventricular outflow tract, papillary muscles can come and cause obstruction, as we have discussed. Okay, you can go to the next slide. I think echo is more relevant for congenital people. For you, AV canal defect is very important as a case. If there is a case, you have to decide it's a ostium primum defect when you are going to have a findings of ASD with a finding of systemic AV valve regurgitation. Then you start thinking of this. In that particular case, always look at the JP, look for the waves, look for the precordial impulse. The question will come whether it is RVH or LA, which we have discussed. You must have those 3 pointers which are there. In ECG, there will be a prolonged PR interval, a counterclockwise loop, and left superior axis, which is going to be there. Reasons which we have discussed. X-ray would essentially be of the ASD. There are all the features of ASD. As you have told, you might have some certain in Down syndrome ossification centers in bones, some bony abnormalities which might be able to pick up. This is very important. I think these are the summarization of AV canal defect. Anything else you want to add? Anybody wants to add?
Oh, sir, it's okay. Just
Symptoms
Sir,
depends upon the degree of AV regurgitation. And
Shashank was
the-
saying something.
सर AVSD में कभी गर्भोड मिल सकता है क्या
Yeah,
coincidentally?
it is very common. In fact,
that is
many
very
of the
सर
common.
वही
corporates,
मुझे एक्चुअली समझ नहीं
Most of
आता
them
कि दोनों अगर एक लेवल पे है सर तो गर्भोड क्यों होगा?
बीच में एज लेवल पे तो प्राइमम एज ही है ना, सीधा जेट आरए में ही जाएगा काफी सारे केसेस में एलवी से.
practically all the jet of it's a posterior defect.
हाँ, तभी तो दैट्स व्हाई वी आर एवरीवेयर
Inlet
सेइंग
septum.
पोस्टीरियर
So
डिफेक्ट.
जो भी LV से jet जाएगा, it will get posteriorly directed all towards the mostly. It's very common to have a garbode in the setting of a AV canal defect. But most of the time, AV canal defects, if there are large primum ASDs, or they will exam में they will either present with AV canal, or they it will be isomangarized. They will be all grown ups, or they will present an isolated primum ASDs.
Okay sir.
Would be the two common presentations. AV valve regurgitation would be the catch.
Okay sir. ठीक है sir.
that's it, sir.
We'll wind up for today then.
Thank you sir.
Yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.